Hello folks, Matt Harmsworth here, host of the Ask the Arb podcast. I'm back. I am back. I am recording this as my microphone falls apart. That's how long it is since I've done this. I am recording this on the 16th of August in the afternoon, and I don't know, who was the last person I had on here? I think it was Roy Partington from Greenfix. If you've not listened to that one, stop this, go back, listen to it. Great guy to have on the podcast. Anyway, the reason that I haven't been recording podcasts is it has been a hectic summer so far, and I have been sucked back into the operational side of the business, which has meant that I've been out on site doing surveys, supporting our ecologists, and doing all sorts of interesting things. So yeah, that's why I've not recorded a podcast for a while, so apologies for that. The main reason, protected species surveys. Oh my goodness, bats this year. The requirement for bat surveys seems to have shot up through the roof. Now, obviously, mainly on this podcast, I stick with talking about trees, but there are two other sides of ROAVR that have been crazy busy this year. One is the ecology side of things, and the other is drone survey and inspection. All these elements complement one another. But bats, why bats? Well, bats are obviously legally protected, and I don't think most people understand just how heavily protected they are, or where they're likely to be, and how they can potentially affect your development project. So if you have got even the potential for bats to be at your property, then it's highly likely that the local authority are going to ask for, first off, a preliminary roost assessment, or a PRA, to support your planning application. And then if that PRA identifies either evidence of bats or the potential for bats, you're likely going to need activity surveys. And the problem is with these activity surveys is that they can only really be done between May and September, with May and September potentially being suboptimal for the survey. So I'm recording this middle of August. We've essentially got 2 weeks left to get through the backlog. So it's all hands on deck at the moment. And with the new guidance that's come out, it's meant that we can deploy some of our technology from within ROAVR, so both our infrared cameras, our high quality standalone DSLR cameras, and also the drones and the thermal drones as well, to look at potential roosting features. And it's been fantastic to see the emergence and re-entry on camera like that, which is not something that we've done in previous years. So exciting times. Anyway, speaking of last minute, another reason why I'm recording this today is that the kids are finally back to school in Scotland today. So yesterday was obviously slightly mad, the usual mad rush with my son James. Haircuts, bags, shoes. And shoes, my God, that took, I don't know, must have taken something like an hour. First pair of shoes, they fitted perfectly. Second pair of shoes, the backs weren't right for playing football in the playground apparently, etc, etc. And he's 8 now as well, so a daddy haircut doesn't cut it anymore. We had to try and get to the hairdressers, and the local hairdressers here in Inverness is within our local Tesco's store. And I don't know about you, but we have had the most incredible thunderstorms in the last couple of days, and and the roof fell in Tesco's on, I think it was on Sunday late afternoon, something like that. So they jumped into action, and they called upon their framework for repair engineers to come out and do their thing. And the store was open by 1 o'clock yesterday afternoon, which is pretty impressive looking at the state of the damage. But it got me thinking, why do they use a nationwide framework, call-off framework, for carrying out those kind of surveys? And that's something that comes up all the time with us, because we're a nationwide company, and you know, it's all very well and good supporting a local company, and we all like to do that, particularly when it comes to coffee shops and, you know, arts and crafts and local trades and all that kind of good stuff. But when it comes down to consultancy, sometimes supporting your local business is not necessarily the best way forwards for your planning application, because if that small local operator is just one person, how's he going to cope when he is busy, like the season that we've just had? A larger practice does tend to have a larger team, and they're a multi-skilled team as well, which means that you can get not only an ecologist but also an arboriculturalist on site at the same time, which helps reduce costs. It also means that you're not tied to one person. So within this business, we're heavily systemised. Everything is recorded on a client file, and it means that anybody else can pick up that file and see exactly what is going on. So you're not tied to that particular consultant, because obviously if they happen to be on holiday for 2 weeks in the middle of August and you've got a submission date in 2 weeks' time, you're going to want that sucker boshed out pretty quick. So it leads to a smoother service, which, speaking of a smoother service, leads me to the next thing. I had better go and pick my son up from school. He's up to year 4 now in Scotland, and that means he gets to spend an extra 15 minutes in school, which is exciting. Gives me a little bit more time to record podcasts. So today I would have you consider the possibility that if you are going to go with a local company, make sure they have got all the processes, procedures and capability in place to support you right the way through your project. And as always, if you want any free advice, there's a link in the podcast. Reach out to me. Always happy to have a chat with people. Thanks for listening. Catch you on the next one.